Hello, velomobile fans. I want to talk to you today about how to buy a velomobile. First, your question might be, why would I want to buy a velomobile? They're pretty expensive. Well, for me, the reason I got one is primarily for protection from weather. Here in Minnesota, it can be quite cold and windy and wet during sometimes as many as 6 months of the year. And I don't always get real excited about going for a bike ride in that kind of weather. But I still want a way to exercise, and I don't necessarily want to sit all winter on the bike trainer. So having a velomobile makes it much easier to go out in that kind of weather because it's so much warmer inside the velomobile, and you've got the shell protecting you from the wind and the slush and the rain and stuff. The other thing is that a velomobile is much faster than a bicycle because it's so much more aerodynamic. You don't have to get dressed up in special fancy skin suits and stuff if you want to be super aero, and you don't have to be hunched over in an awkward position. You can just comfortably lounge in the seat. You've got room for snacks or water and luggage, and it's just a much more comfortable way to ride. And because you've got a race hood and you've got the shell, your body heat is kept inside in colder weather, and it helps keep you a lot warmer. Velomobiles are also a great option for commuting because you can combine not only the increased speed of a velomobile over a bicycle and the weather protection, but you also can get your exercise and get to and from your destination in a more reasonable amount of time than you would in a bicycle. And it's also a lot more fun than in a car, at least for me, because I enjoy riding and I can combine that with getting to my destination and back. There's also the safety aspect. A velomobile is obviously much larger than a bicycle. They normally have nice bright lights front and back, and turn signals, and you can get different sorts of safety modules to put on the top with lights and stuff. And if you get a nice brightly colored velomobile, that also helps with visibility, along with the fact of, well, you're riding a weird looking bicycle, so that alone is enough to get quite a lot of attention. There are a whole bunch of different models of velomobiles, and when you're trying to decide which model to get, you want to take into account what your priorities are. Do you need speed? Do you need comfort? Do you need luggage capacity? What kind of roads you have? Do you have really bad roads? Do you have really smooth roads? Are you going to be more on-road, or are you going to be more maybe bike paths? Maybe you're in the city, you need something really maneuverable, or you need something that's light. And you also want to take in your body size into account. Are you really tall? Are you really short? Are you on the smaller side? Are you on the larger side? Do you need something that's really easy to get into and out of, or are you willing to compromise in that aspect for better speed? Some of the more popular models, and the majority of the models actually, are produced by a company in Romania called Velomobile World. And these are some of the models. The M9 and the Bulk are two of the newer models. The M9 and the A9 are designed by Daniel Fenn, who also designed the Alpha 7 and the DF and the DF XL. All of these are pretty fast models of velomobiles. In fact, all of the ones being produced by Velomobile World are quite fast. The M9 and the A9 are good for a little bit larger riders, especially the Alpha 9, which probably can accommodate the largest riders of any velomobile. They both have a fair amount of luggage capacity, access to the drivetrain, the cassettes and stuff is pretty easy. There's a nice access hatch both in the rear, and also here you can see the access hatch in the hood. This is also a very interesting design in that although it has closed wheel wells, it has an access hatch also to allow access to remove the wheel more easily compared to other velomobiles. I'm not sure how large the opening is to get in. I think it's a fairly reasonable size compared to some that have a narrower opening. For instance, the DF and the DF-XL and the Alpha 7 have some of the smaller openings for getting in and out. The Alpha 7 and the DF and DF-XL also have access hatches in the rear and in the hood, and they have open wheel wells, so they have a little bit tighter turning radius than ones that would have closed wheel wells. But because they're open, the wheel wells have been made a little bit smaller across, so it does limit a little bit the size of tires. I believe the Alpha 7 can take up to maybe a 40 or 42 millimeter tire in the front, whereas the closed wheel wells of the M9 and the A9 can actually take fairly large tires. The Milan and the Bulk are unique in that they have a very large opening, and they're probably the easiest velomobile of all of these to get into and out of. The Bulk opening is so large that you can easily get to the screws to remove the struts to take the wheels out, and there is also an access hatch in the hood. The Bulk and the Milan are probably the two fastest models, besides one other one that I'll show you. And the Bulk in particular, this is the newest model that's been developed. This is a really interesting model in that it can accommodate the widest range of rider sizes of any velomobile. There are 6 different places where you can set the seat, and the seat can be moved. It slides along these, there's these different little gaps along the rails. It's not easy to see in the picture. In fact, I'm not sure they're even installed in that picture. But you can move the seat and adjust the angle of the seat back without any tools. So you can very quickly adjust it to different riders, especially if it was a family sharing a velomobile, or if you were wanting to give your friend a chance to try out your velomobile or something. So that's a really unique feature of this one. And there's also different headrest options. If you're sitting more forward and you want to bring the headrest more forward, you can just Velcro on an adapter in the rear. This one also, along with some other ones like the DF and also the Quest, can have a trailer attachment added if you need more luggage capacity. Some of these have a little bit more ground clearance than others. I didn't mean to click on that actually. The Bulk can have up to 9 centimeters of ground clearance in the front. The Alpha 7 has a little bit more. I think that's maybe 11 or 12 centimeters of ground clearance. So if you have a lot of really steep curbs, you might need a velomobile more like an Alpha 7 or a DF that might have a little more clearance. If you're a particularly small rider and you don't want to rattle around in some of the larger sizes, the Snook is a good option for that. It's built specifically for smaller riders, people 150 to 178 centimeters. It doesn't have as much luggage capacity as some of the others, but it is quite fast, on par with the Milan and the Bulk as probably the 3 fastest models. It also has pretty low ground clearance, and it can only take about 28 millimeter tires in the front. So if you want to run something like a winter tire, a Snook's not going to be a very good option for that. For that, you're more limited to something like an M9, an A9, or maybe the Alpha 7 could take a snow tire in the front. Some of the older models like the Quest XS and the Quest can take quite wide tires. They also have pretty large manhole openings. The Quest XS is what I'm riding right now. Just keep in mind that they're not quite as stable in windy conditions as some of the newer models, especially the M9, Alpha 9, and the Bulk and the Milan. Those are particularly good in really windy conditions. One other really unique velomobile is the Quattrevelo. This is the only model that has 4 wheels, which is great for stability in corners. And because of the 4 wheels, the back has considerable luggage space. In fact, you can even get a model that has a child seat in the back, and you can see the window for the child to look out on either side. So if you need luggage capacity or you want to commute with a kid or something, a Quattrevelo is great for that. As far as where to buy them, for the Alpha 9, the M9, Alpha 7, the Milans, and the Bulk, those could be ordered directly from Velomobile World. In fact, there's going to be a shipment of Bulks likely coming in March here to the United States. And perhaps one of those may be going to me. Spoiler. Or you can go to someplace like Velomobile Nord, who can help you import a velomobile to the US. Or I know also that a dealer in Finland, the Velomobile Center Finland, which I don't have up right now, he has also helped act as a go-between to get velomobiles to the US. If you're interested in a DF, Intercity Bike in the Netherlands would be able to get you one of those. Or if you're looking at something like the Snook or the Quattrevelo, or perhaps the Strata, which is like a Quest but with open wheel wells, or a Quest or something, those can be ordered from velomobile.nl, VOLOMOBIEL.nl. They can help you import one of those to the US. There is a US dealer, but I have understood that there's been some issues with communication with some customers that have gotten kind of frustrated with the process. So it might be better to go directly to the companies producing them. Or you could also go just used. That's what I did with my Quest. I found a listing for one on the Bent Rider Online site. I've also seen velomobiles listed on the Velomobile Facebook group or the North American Velomobile or Velonaut or something Facebook group. I'd have to look up that, and I should probably put a link in the description. But those would be options as well. And if you're wanting to try one, there is a new ambassador program starting up for the Bulk. And once those arrive, hopefully sometime in March, there will be several locations around the US where there will be people who will be willing to make those available for you to test ride. There's also, through the North American Velomobile group on Facebook, there is a map that shows locations of various velomobile riders through the US, and some of them have provided contact information, and you might be able to arrange with somebody to do a test ride that way. Otherwise, there's lots and lots of videos on YouTube about different velomobiles, and you can get some idea of what it's like to maintain them and get in and out of them and what there would be for luggage space. One other velomobile model that I should mention is called the WA. The WA is made by Katanga, which is a company in Czech Republic, and the WA is a little bit unique in that the nose and the tail can be removed. And because they can be removed, it's much easier to get to the drivetrain for maintenance purposes. And my cedar strip velomobile, which I have lots of videos about, is modeled after the WA. I no longer have the removable nose, but I do now have the removable tail still. This is what a WA looks like. And there's just a set of screws around the nose and also along the tail. And you can just pop those off and easily get in for maintenance purposes. I also really like the rear suspension that comes with the WA that you can get with it as an option. And while it might not be the fastest and newest model, if you want ease of maintenance and a nice comfortable ride, I think the wah is super for that. Um, as far as cost, yes, velomobiles are pretty expensive, but keep in mind that you're getting really great safety features. You're going to be in much better shape generally after, if you were to get hit or roll over or something in a velomobile than you would be on a bicycle, because you do have some protection from the shell. You're getting something that you can ride in a lot more weather more comfortably than you can a bicycle. And it's something that can be used for commuting and going running errands and stuff, given the price of gasoline right now and just the general state of the environment as a whole. A velomobile can be quite a good alternative to a car. It could reduce your car usage, or for some people, it maybe even could replace it altogether. A lot of velomobiles, especially like the Quest and the Wah, can have e-assist added so that you can arrive at your destination without having to get quite so sweaty and put out quite as much effort. And in fact, I will be adding e-assist to my cedar strip Wah in the coming weeks once I get that ready to go on the road, and I'll start making some videos about that and about whether or not having e-assist is worth it for commuting. So yes, it's expensive, but consider it an investment in exercise, an investment in improving the environment, and something that can help you reduce your car usage and provide you with an opportunity to get out in a lot more bad weather than you would in a bicycle. And I just think it's worth it for just the joy of riding, because it is so much fun to go fast without having to put out 400 or 500 watts like a pro rider. So those are the things to consider. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I am one of the Velomobile ambassadors for Velomobile World, and I would be more than happy to help you arrange to get a Velomobile and to help you figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.